Let's talk about perfectionism. Not the buzzword version, where people casually call themselves a perfectionist on job interviews. I mean the real thing, the exhausting, paralyzing kind. The one that keeps you up tweaking the same paragraph for an hour. The one that makes you feel like if something isn't flawless, it's a failure. That kind. Most people think perfectionism is a sign of discipline or high standards, like it means you care a lot and work hard. But honestly, it's not about discipline. It's about fear. It's a shield, a defense mechanism. It's how you try to protect yourself from being judged, rejected, or not good enough. When you aim to be perfect, what you're really doing is trying to control how others see you. Because deep down, you're scared that if something you create isn't perfect, you won't be enough either. And it starts early. Maybe you grew up in a home where mistakes weren't safe. Or maybe you were praised constantly for being the smart one, the talented one, the responsible one. Over time, that becomes your identity. You start tying your worth to your output, how cleanly you perform, how well you deliver, how perfectly you show up. So when you're not perfect, it feels like a threat. Like something in you is slipping. That's why perfectionists struggle to rest. Not because they love working, but because stopping feels unsafe. It creates space for self-doubt, for judgment, for the fear of falling behind. And so you just keep going, pushing, tweaking, proving. Not because it's healthy, but because it feels necessary. The tricky thing is, from the outside, it looks like discipline. People see your work ethic, your attention to detail, your drive, and they praise it. They call you a high achiever. But what they don't see is what it costs you. They don't see the anxiety, the procrastination, the fear of starting, because it might not turn out exactly right. They don't see the 10 drafts of the email, the hours of overthinking, the avoidance, the shame. Because that's what's really behind perfectionism. Shame. The belief that if something isn't just right, it reflects badly on who you are. And look, you're not lazy, you're not weak. You've just learned to armor up. You've learned that control equals safety. So you try to control outcomes, impressions, performance. But here's the problem. No matter how perfect you are, someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always find something to pick apart. And you will never get to a place in life where you're completely protected from criticism, failure, or discomfort. Perfectionism promises safety, but it delivers pressure. Constant pressure. And eventually, that pressure burns you out or breaks you down. So what do? You start letting go, slowly. Not of excellence, but of the idea that your worth depends on getting everything exactly right. You start giving yourself permission to show up messy, to finish before something is ready, to try without the outcome being perfect. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop bleeding for things that aren't giving you life back. Let the project be good enough. Let the email go out with a typo. Let someone see your work before it's polished. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it might trigger all those old fears, but that's part of unlearning. That's part of building real confidence. Not the kind that comes from performing, but the kind that comes from knowing who you are, even when things aren't perfect. And here's what's wild. You'll realize people connect with your realness way more than your perfection. People don't bond with flawless. They bond with honest. They relate to the mess, the try, the effort. The pressure you're putting on yourself to always get it right is probably pushing people away, not pulling them in. So start where you are. You don't need to flip a switch and stop being a perfectionist overnight. But you can take the armor off a little bit at a time. You can remind yourself that progress matters more than polish. That done is better than perfect. And that you are not your output. You are a human being, not a product. So no, perfectionism isn't discipline. It's not strength. It's not the flex you think it is. It's fear wearing a mask. And if you're tired of being stuck in it, good. That means you're ready to do something different. Here's something nobody tells you about perfectionism. It doesn't just ruin your work, it ruins your life. Not all at once, but slowly, over time. It kills spontaneity. It drains joy out of things you used to love. It turns creativity into pressure and relationships into performances. You can't be fully present with people when you're constantly self-editing in real time. You're not listening, you're managing. Managing how you sound, how you look, how you're being perceived. That's not connection, that's control. And deep down, you know it. But it's hard to stop because the alternative feels like vulnerability. And if you've used perfectionism as a shield for most of your life, vulnerability feels dangerous. Let's be honest. Most perfectionists are just people who were never given the space to be average without consequence. Maybe you had to earn your value through achievement. Maybe your failures were turned into family stories. Maybe your okay was always compared to someone else's excellent. And so now, you don't know how to just be. You only know how to perform. Even your healing has to be impressive. Even your rest has to be productive. You're trying to win recovery like it's another competition. Let that go. This constant pressure to get everything right, it doesn't make you better. It makes you brittle. You're so busy trying to avoid being wrong that you never give yourself permission to experiment, which is exactly how people grow. You miss opportunities not because you're incapable, but because you don't let yourself show up unless you're guaranteed to win. That's not discipline. That's self-rejection in advance. You're filtering yourself out of your own life because of a fear that maybe, just maybe, someone will see your rough draft and not be impressed. But here's the thing. You can either be impressive or you can be real. You don't get both. And I get it. Letting go of perfectionism isn't just about changing habits. It's about grieving who you had to become to survive. It's mourning the version of you that learned to be hyper-competent because being needy wasn't an option. It's facing the reality that you built your identity on being the one who always gets it right, and now you're realizing that version of you is exhausted. So yeah, it's not just about posting the imperfect thing or letting someone see your mess. It's about undoing years of wiring that told you you're only lovable when you're polished. But here's the real truth. You'll never know who you really are until you stop performing who you think you need to be. You'll never feel free until you're willing to be seen unfinished. That's what's on the other side of this. Not sloppiness, not apathy. Freedom, peace, presence. The ability to create without crushing pressure. To rest without shame. To try, fail, and laugh about it. That's the life perfectionism has kept you from. And the longer you keep the armor on, the more you miss out on living the life you actually want. Not the one that just looks good from the outside. So no, you don't need to fix your perfectionism. You need to outgrow it. You need to stop feeding it with validation. Stop dressing it up as discipline. Stop calling it just who I am. It's not who you are. It's who you learn to be. And that means it's not permanent. You can evolve. You can start practicing being human again. And yeah, that means messing things up sometimes. It means feeling uncomfortable. It means risking judgment. But if that's what it costs to get your peace, your joy, your life back, that's a price worth paying.